Page 30, Over the Rainbow. At the top of the page, they talk a little bit about accidentals. I would think we've had accidentals by now. So is this just reviewing? I can't remember squat, so I don't know what you've had and what you haven't. Let's talk accidentals. An accidental. It's not an accident. It's just a thing that happens temporarily. It's an accidental. It is a sharp, flat, or natural that appears in the measure. That's pretty much it. There's a rule, and people don't agree on the rule, so good luck with that. Generally, the rule is the accidental applies from that point on in the measure for the rest of the measure. But it's only for that staff. Every staff has to have their own set of accidentals. When you get into a new measure, then whatever accidentals were cancels out, and it goes back to its normal whatever you were doing. The point that people don't agree on is, does it apply to that note, specific note, or does it apply to the note name? For instance, take a look on page 31 in the third line down in the first measure. In the left hand you have an A with a sharp sign in front of it, makes it an A sharp. So then the question is, okay, does that accidental only apply to that A, no other A, just that A? Or does it apply to all A's in that staff for that measure? And I've been on both sides of this argument, and it just depends on who you talk to and what instrument they play. As a piano player, we really need to see the accidental on every octave of if that A were somewhere else besides that particular A, if there were another A, we need to see the accidental there too. Because we got notes going all over everywhere, and we really need to see them. That's what we're accustomed to. But I got a lecture from a violin teacher one time, because I also play violin. I was sitting next to her in an orchestra, and there was an accidental in one, and later there was the same note in another octave, and it didn't have the accidental. So I played just the natural note. It sounded terrible. And she let me know that's no. That applies to all of those notes, all octaves. And boy, she was adamant about it. And I said, yeah, that may be fine, but piano players need to see it. Whether it needs to be there or not, we need to see it. So just be aware if you're talking to people about these accidental rules and things, they're going to get both sides of this argument. I'm not interested. Doesn't come up all that often in piano music because, as I said, in piano music, if it's different octaves, you'll get the accidental again. And that's what we need. Now, this rainbow thing, let's talk about it. Common time, or 4/4 time. One sharp, we're in the key of G major. All the F's are sharped, and we have accidentals all over the place. Let's just cover the notes, rhythms, and fingerings first. Right hand at the beginning, it's here. And you have an octave, stretch all the way up. And then you can collapse once you do that, because we're staying up here. Second measure, 1 and 2. Then reach down, and then it's a sixth here. And then the next one is 2/5, 3, 2. So you got to hold the whole note down. We got two voices here. And then an F natural, and they even point out the accidental. The natural sign is an accidental because the F sharp is in the key signature, so that's what you're supposed to play. They want a natural, so yeah, it's here, so it's there. Now this is not a fast piece, so the fingering you use has a lot to do with the speed of the piece. You have to keep that in mind. There's been many times in pieces where I worked out a fingering at a nice slow rate, and when I went to speed it up to the fast rate, it didn't work at all. The fingering I had was all messed up. I had to redo the fingering for a fast rate. Well, in this second line, first measure here, I would like to be able to connect that top note to the last note in the first line. Here, here. I don't want to use fifth finger on both because I can't connect it. There is a way, but I won't get it. I mean, that's hard, but I want to connect it. So I want to use fourth finger on it. The problem is if I use fourth finger on it, I'm out of place. I'm out of place for these notes. So, if you can, play the G with fourth finger and then immediately put fifth finger on it. It's a finger substitution. What we call a finger substitution. Some people call it other things. Call it what you want, I don't care, but it's here. So the last measure of the first line is here. And then I'm going to go 2-4. And before I play the next quarter note, I'm going to substitute the fifth finger. So that way I've got room. I can do this. And going on 2-5 here. I'm going to play this connected. Hold the whole note down. And again, fourth finger, hold the whole note down. And 5-4 here. And then you can lift up, it's a new phrase, rest. I tend to do this kind of a fingering, which would be a 2-5 here. But when you see the notes coming up, that doesn't work. So thumb is fine. We get a rest, so we can come up. So it's 1, 2, 3. That's the third line, second measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 4. 1, 2. And this is the same thing as on the second line. It'll play it with fourth finger and substitute the fifth. And you do that again. The melody's the top note. That's what we want to connect. I'll talk about these slurs later. The bottom note, you just do the best you can. We can't connect it, so you do the best. Then, top of page 31, second measure. Hold the whole half notes down. And if you got big fat fingers and this doesn't work, you got to do this. So you have to use fourth finger. Here. And then here. Otherwise, use the fingering in the book. Second line, here, here. If you want, you can do a 2-3 on the second measure. And this way you can do that. Or do a 1-3 and then a 2-5. Either of those fingering works fine. Pick one, decide what you want. If it's different than the book, pencil it in and stick with it. And then we do that thing again. Now, third line down, first measure. Look out. The book says this. They want you to cross over here and go here. There's times we have to do that, but I find it a little easier if you're going to do that. Use fourth finger instead of third. You don't have to go as far here because you can use third finger on the next one. That's fine. Otherwise, don't cross over. Change it. It's here. Then 2, 4, and then I can do a 2-5. And then a 1-3. That's fine too. I didn't have to cross over the little finger. So you decide what you want. I'm probably going to do on that third line down, first measure, for the last 2 beats is here. I'm going to do a 2-4, and then a 2-5, and then a 1-3. Then going on, you're here. Connect the top note. And then lift up. You got what you had before. Left hand. Here to start. And then an F natural, and it's 4-2. Hold the half note down. It's tricky. You can't connect this part. Do the best you can. And then here, they say 2-5. That's because you need your thumb for the next measure. And that's okay, it's fine. Then going on, second measure, second line. Rest, come down. Nut. Rest, come down. Don't forget the F sharp there. Third line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Come up. There's a lot of accidentals going on. Make sure you hold the half notes down. If you can connect this. That kind of helps a little bit. It's a little awkward and tricky, but sometimes piano playing is. And when you get a piece like this is not a piano piece. This is meant to have like an orchestra background or something. It's a vocal solo. This is not piano music per se. This is just, and most of the time when they do these things, it doesn't fit under the fingers at all. It's not piano music. Well, we do the best we can, because a lot of times if you're going to play piano, you might be accompanying somebody. Well, and the music you get isn't going to be piano music. So you do the best you can with it. So things get awkward. However, this awkwardness is actually really good training for later on, because the music will get a little more difficult. So if you can kind of get a grasp of this now, it will help you a great deal later on. So again, third line down, last measure here. Rest. The accidentals, you gotta love them. Again, that's a F sharp, F natural, and E G sharp. And rest, come down. Rest. Top of page 31. The D is tight. Just hang on to it. Come up. They're saying third finger. I don't know why. Because if you look at the notes coming up, you gotta go all the way up to C. Third finger doesn't do it, but I recommend fourth finger. If you just put, you got a one beat rest to come up, you just want to put fourth finger on it. This way you can go all the way up to C without moving the hand. And you can connect the notes. Then third line down, A sharp, and then half notes. Connect them as best you can. You can't, that's all. 1, 3, and then next line. Hold the whole note down. Connect these. Hold the half notes down again. We had this before. So fourth, put the hands together. What could possibly go wrong here? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3. 1, 2. There. Right there, third line down, second measure. That F sharp is by itself. Sounds terrible, but that's what they wrote. Again, hold the whole notes down. That D is by itself. This is the top of page 31 here, and then whichever fingering you're using. Right there, that B is down the whole measure. Anyway, I don't want to. I've almost played it all for you. I didn't mean to do that. Just, it's very tricky. This is a very tricky arrangement. Frankly, I think it's a little too tricky, but that's not my. That's in the book. We'll deal with it. Now, if you have really small hands, there are some stretches in here that may not work for you. I'm trying to get things to work out, and some of this And you'll have to adjust the fingering accordingly, and if you need to, leave out a note here and there. Don't leave out the melody note, and if you can, don't leave out the bottom note. Because the bottom note and the melody note are usually the two most important part. So get the bass. But in the middle, you may have to leave out a note occasionally if you have small hands. That's kind of a last resort. Ideally, you don't leave out any notes, you play them all. But you have to accommodate, and this is an arrangement anyway. So even after if you can play it all, after you've learned it the way it's written, if you want to rearrange it slightly, go for it. Have fun with it. But take it real slow. I'm going a little fast maybe, and you work out all these fingerings and all these movements and all these things, and then gradually work out all the hesitations and all the glitches. So whatever speed you go, no matter how slow it is, it's going to be a steady beat, and you get rid of the hesitations, and you can get all these accidentals and all these things. It's hard to tell sometimes if you're playing a wrong note at all because of the harmony, because the harmony is getting and so how do you know? You can play a wrong note and it sounds just fine. I do it all the time. But do the best you can with that, and then we'll think about the articulation. Well, this is basically a smooth legato piece, but you can lift up between the musical sentences or the phrases. So, and follow the words. Here, this is all. So just lift up a little bit. Play the left hand as legato as you can, just throughout, regardless of what the right hand is doing. Bottom here. That should all be connected. Don't split up that last measure. Look at the words. It's all one sentence connected all the way through. That's all one sentence right in there. So connect it all. And at the top of page 31 here, connect these last two measures completely. It's all one phrase here. And they have two neutrals on here. Just hang on to these notes and make this as legato as you can. You can actually just slow down just a hair, but not much. Here, and then go on and do it again. Connect all these eighth notes together, both measures. And again, the two neutrals. Connect these as best you can. Lift up, new phrase. Here you can lift up there if you want. Some people do, some people don't. So put in it now at the bottom here, the last line. I would connect all this together, all in one phrase. There's a retardant on the. We want to hear that. That's sort of the articulation. Get to know it so you can feel the phrases and all that. That's where the excitement can come in. Because once you can feel the phrases, then you can shape the phrases. It's part of interpreting. And generally, it's like talking in a sentence. When we get done with a sentence, we usually come down with it. Well, the same thing with these. A lot of times in these phrases, you can come down. You can decrescendo just a little bit, just diminuent, just a hair. And then you take off again for the next phrase. It's like at the beginning. Now here, this is really all one phrase. They've broken it up. But now it's a new one. So here, first measure, second line, come down. And then. See, and that's all one phrase. They've got this a little bit choppy in my opinion. I would do this, follow the sentences and the words and the clauses and so forth, and do it according to that phrase it according to those. You'll come closer than what this is. Dynamic wise, they're all suggestions. This is a gentle piece. Starts out soft, that's the melody. Whatever you think soft is. It's the top note. These notes, these are very soft. Down, I just shape the phrase a little bit, and you're staying in the soft area. You can get a little louder and softer as you feel it. And when you get to the top of page 31 here, this is come up a little bit to sort of, and the 8th note. These half notes, if you can't keep them soft, and the second line is the top note. If you can, bring that out, so forth. And then in the third line, second measure, now you're going to go up. And you crescendo up here from the first measure. Up just a little bit to sort of loud as the top note. Come down. It doesn't say to, but come down here. And then you can even put a little retardato there if you want to. It's part of interpreting. Sometimes you'll retard slightly at the end of a phrase, and then you're back to your soft like you were at the beginning. The left hand, just keep it in the background, out of the way the whole time. Speed wise, rubato con espressione is not a speed. It means rubato means you can give and take with the tempo, the beat. Don't give and take too much, because then it just sounds like you don't know, you can't count. You can't keep a beat. But expression, you get to know it where you can start feeling this, and then you can. So forth. This arrangement really needs the damper pedal to help it out. I would like to use damper pedal on this a lot, but they haven't introduced it to you yet. I'm not making it any more complicated than it is. Just know that later on, if you go to the book 4 and you get into using the damper pedal, you might want to come back and review this piece, maybe a few others, and see if you can add pedal to it and make it a little bit more interesting. Otherwise, please don't use pedal on this until you've been taught how to use the pedal. It's not just a matter of common sense or what I knew a guy once who never had a piano lesson. He could play advanced music. He taught himself. Did pretty well. The problem is he'd push the pedal down at the beginning of a piece and he'd leave it down for the whole piece. And then he'd lift it up. So the whole thing was smeared. And he thought it sounded fine because I asked him about it. And he said, yeah, it's fine. No, it's not fine. So please don't use pedal on this yet. I'd like to play it with you very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. I'll give us 4 counts. I'm not going to do any dynamics, but let's just go real slow. Just play it one hand at a time with me if you need to for a bit. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2.